The human mind is both a sanctuary and a battlefield, a place where dreams are born, but also where doubts fester. To master, it is not about suppressing thoughts or forcing positivity. It's about cultivating discipline, confronting chaos, and choosing responsibility over excuses. Every great achievement begins in the mind, yet so does every failure. The difference lies in who's in control, you or your impulses. We live in an age of endless distractions, where attention is fractured and purpose is diluted. Social media, instant gratification, and the noise of modern life pull us away from deep, meaningful thought. But mastery starts with a simple yet radical idea. You are not your thoughts, you are the thinker. And if you don't govern your mind, someone else will, whether it's algorithms, societal pressures, or your own unchecked emotions. Mastering your mind isn't about becoming emotionless or rigid. It's about developing the ability to focus when distraction calls, to act when fear paralyzes, and to persist when failure looms. It's about recognizing that suffering is inevitable, but suffering without purpose is unbearable. So, how do we reclaim control? How do we turn mental chaos into order, fear into courage, and confusion into clarity? The answer lies in deliberate daily choices, choices that shape not just your thoughts, but your destiny. The greatest battle you will ever fight is not against external forces. It's the silent war within your own mind. Every day, you are bombarded with distractions, doubts, and desires pulling you in 1,000 directions. But the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck isn't talent, luck, or circumstance. It's mastery over the mind. Think of your mind as a garden. If left untended, weeds of negativity, procrastination, and fear will overrun it. But if you cultivate it with discipline, clarity, and purpose, you can grow something extraordinary. The problem, most people never take ownership. They blame the world for their chaos instead of realizing you are the architect of your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your reality. This isn't about empty motivation or pretending life is easy. It's about recognizing that the mind is your greatest weapon if you learn to wield it. So how do you master it? Let's break it down. 1. Take responsibility for your thoughts. Most people live as slaves to their emotions. They think, I feel anxious, so I can't act. Or so I'm not motivated, so I'll wait. But here's the truth. You are not your feelings. You are the one who decides what to do with them. If you wait for inspiration before you work, you'll never create anything great. Anything great. If you let fear dictate your choices, you'll never take the risks that lead to success. The first step to mastering your mind is realizing you have agency. Even when emotions scream, you can choose discipline over impulse. Ask yourself, are my thoughts serving me, or am I serving them? Am I making excuses, or am I taking action despite discomfort? The moment you stop blaming the world and start commanding your mind, everything changes. 2. Order over chaos. Chaos is the default state of an untrained mind. Without structure, you'll drift through life reacting instead of directing. But order is the foundation of mental mastery. Small, consistent routines train your brain to focus. Wake up at the same time every day. Write down your goals. Eliminate distractions before they hijack your attention. When you impose discipline on your habits, you strengthen your willpower. You don't find freedom in laziness, you find it in self-control. 3. Face your fears. Your mind will always resist what it doesn't understand. Fear isn't a sign to retreat. It's a signal that you're on the edge of growth. Every time you avoid a difficult conversation, delay a bold move, or surrender to self-doubt, you train your brain to fear more. Pretty weird. But every time you act despite fear, you rewire your mind for courage. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding that I know I should confront? What would I do today if I weren't afraid? The more you face discomfort, the more your mind learns. You are stronger than your fears. 4. Pursue meaning. Not just happiness. Chasing happiness alone is a trap. Why? Because happiness is fleeting. It comes and goes. But meaning sustains you. Meaning comes from responsibility, struggle, and growth. It's found in building something valuable, helping others. Pushing yourself beyond what's comfortable. When you tie your efforts to a purpose larger than yourself, your mind stops craving cheap dopamine hits and starts striving for something enduring. 5. Small steps lead to great changes. You won't master your mind overnight. It happens in daily choices, choosing focus over distraction, choosing effort over excuses, choosing courage over comfort. Every small victory trains your brain to believe in progress. Every disciplined act strengthens your mental resilience. You don't need a massive overhaul. You need consistent, relentless improvement. The path to mastering your mind isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about recognizing that you are in a battle for your own potential. And every day, you decide whether you win or lose. Start today. Take control of your thoughts. Impose order on your chaos. Face what scares you. Chase meaning, not just pleasure. And remember, small disciplines repeated over time create an unshakable mind. The question is, will you master your mind, or will it master you? The choice is yours. Just take responsibility for your thoughts. The mind is not just a passive receiver of information. It is an active creator of reality. Every thought you entertain, every belief you nurture, and every narrative you repeat to yourself shapes the world you experience. Most people go through life unaware of this power, allowing their minds to drift on autopilot, reacting to external circumstances rather than consciously directing their inner world. But true mastery begins with one radical realization. You are not helpless in the face of your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to empower. Consider how often people say things like, "I can't help how I feel," or "This situation made me react this way." These statements reveal a fundamental misunderstanding of agency. Emotions arise, yes, but you decide whether to obey them. External events happen, but you choose their meaning. If you believe your thoughts control you, you will remain trapped in cycles of anxiety, procrastination, and self-sabotage. Procrastination and self-sabotage. Also not you. But if you recognize that you control the thoughts you feed, everything changes. The first step is observation. Most people never examine their own thinking. They let negativity spiral, doubts multiply, and distractions dominate without ever questioning whether those thoughts serve them. But a disciplined mind asks, is this thought true? Is it useful? Does it move me forward or hold me back? You wouldn't let a stranger dictate your life. So why let random, unchecked thoughts do the same? Next comes selection. Just as a gardener pulls weeds to protect the plants, you must learn to discard thoughts that poison your potential. When fear whispers, "You'll fail," you don't have to agree. You can counter it with, "I'll learn." When laziness says, "Do it later," you can respond, "Do it now." You hid. This isn't about forced positivity. It's about choosing the narrative that builds rather than destroys finally. There's repetition. The mind learns through habit. If you consistently entertain self-pity, your brain will default to victimhood. To victimhood. But if you practice resilience, if you repeatedly focus on solutions, not just problems, your mind will rewire itself for strength. This is why journaling, meditation, and intentional self-talk are so powerful. They train the brain to default to clarity, not chaos. The most dangerous lie we tell ourselves is, "I have no choice." But you always have a choice, even if it's just in how you interpret events. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, put it best. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And that space is our power to choose. Mastery begins in that space. Will you fill it with excuses or ownership? The answer determines everything. Order over chaos is the natural state of an undisciplined mind. Without structure, thoughts scatter, priorities blur, and time slips away into trivialities. Look at the lives of those who seem to have it all together. They aren't necessarily smarter or luckier. They've simply learned a vital truth. External order creates internal clarity. When you organize your environment, your schedule, and your habits, you give your mind the stability it needs to focus, create, and thrive. Start with your physical space. Clutter isn't just visual noise. It's cognitive noise. Studies show that disorganized environments increase stress and reduce concentration. Conversely, a clean, purposeful space signals to your brain, this is a place for work, not distraction. You don't need minimalism, but you do need intentionality. Every object should serve a purpose, not just occupy space next, structure your time. The mind resists vacuums. If you don't deliberately allocate your hours, they'll be stolen by social media, trivial tasks, or indecision. The antidote, a schedule. Not a rigid prison, but a framework that balances focus and rest. Block time for deep work, physical health, and relationships. Guard these blocks fiercely. The alternative is a life of reactive busyness, where you're always doing, but never accomplishing. Then, systematize your habits. Your habits. Willpower is finite. Relying on it alone is a losing strategy. Instead, build routines that automate success. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow. If you want to exercise, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Small triggers like these bypass resistance by making the right action the easiest one. Most importantly, order requires sacrifice. You can't say yes to growth without saying no to distractions. You can't prioritize what matters without deprioritizing what doesn't. This is where people fail. They want the results of discipline without the discomfort of denying lesser impulses. But mastery isn't about having everything. It's about choosing what's essential and eliminating the rest. The paradox? Constraints create freedom. A river without banks is a swamp. A mind without structure is a storm. By imposing order, you don't limit yourself. You liberate your potential. Face your fears. Fear is not your enemy. It's your compass. Every meaningful endeavor lies on the other side of discomfort. Yet most people treat fear as a stop sign rather than a starting line. They wait for confidence, for guarantees, for the right moment. But here's the truth. Confidence comes after action, never before. The only way to master your mind is to teach it. Through repeated experience that you are capable of handling what scares you first. Identify the fear. Much of our anxiety is vague. A fog of what-ifs without clear shape. Bring it into the light. Write down the worst-case scenario. Then ask, how likely is this? If it happens, could I survive it? You'll often find that the monster under the bed is just a shadow. Next, take the smallest step. Fear grows in avoidance. It shrinks in exposure. If public speaking terrifies you, start by speaking up in small meetings. If rejection stings, practice asking for minor favors. Each small victory proves to your brain, this isn't fatal. I can handle this. Critically, reframe failure. Most see it as proof of inadequacy. The disciplined mind sees it as data. Thomas Edison didn't fail 1,000 times inventing the light bulb. He learned 1,000 ways it wouldn't work. Every setback is feedback, not fate. Finally, embrace the suck. Growth hurts. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. Navy SEAL have a saying, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the mantra of mastery. Every time you lean into fear, you expand your capacity. Every time you retreat, you shrink it. The mind is a prediction machine. It tries to protect you by anticipating pain, but its calculations are often wrong. The things we fear rarely match reality. The only way to correct its algorithm, prove it wrong through action. Stop waiting for fear to disappear. Start before you're ready. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Pursue meaning, not just happiness. Modern culture obsesses over happiness, endless self-care routines, positivity mantras, and the relentless pursuit of pleasure. But happiness is a fleeting emotion, dependent on circumstances. It fades when challenges arise, meaning, however, sustains you through difficulty. It gives you a reason to persist when happiness is nowhere to be found. A life built on meaning doesn't just feel good. It feels worth living. The difference between happiness and meaning is sacrifice. Happiness asks, what can I take? Meaning asks, what can I contribute? Happiness is about comfort. Meaning is about purpose. Research shows that people who chase happiness directly often end up anxious and unfulfilled. Those who pursue meaning through responsibility, struggle, and service report deeper satisfaction, even in hardship. So how do you find meaning? First, take on responsibility. The more you avoid burdens, the weaker your spirit becomes. Responsibility forces growth. A parent finds meaning in raising a child. An artist finds meaning in perfecting their craft. A leader finds meaning in guiding others. These roles aren't always happy, but they provide something more enduring, a reason to strive. Second, embrace necessary suffering. The gym goer pushing through fatigue, the entrepreneur working late nights, the student studying when friends party. These people aren't miserable. They're investing in something bigger than momentary pleasure. Suffering without purpose is torture. Suffering with purpose is transfer. Finally, connect to something beyond yourself. The human mind craves transcendence, a sense that your life matters in a larger story. This could be faith, family, a mission, or a cause. Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz, wrote that those who held on to meaning, love for a person, dedication to a future goal, endured horrors that broke others. His lesson? He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Happiness is a fine companion, but a poor master. Build your life on meaning, and happiness will follow, not as a constant state, but as a quiet certainty that your struggles matter. Small steps lead to great changes. We live in an age of instant gratification, but mastery doesn't work that way. The mind resists sudden overhauls. It thrives on gradual, consistent progress. The greatest transformations come from small disciplines repeated daily, not grand gestures made once. The problem? Most people underestimate the power of incremental growth. Incremental growth. They want to get motivated, launch a business in a month, or reinvent themselves by New Year's. When results don't appear fast enough, they quit. But the disciplined mind understands. 1% improvement every day compounds into unbelievable strength over time. Start with micro actions. Can't focus for hours? Start with 25 minutes. Overwhelmed by fitness? Do 5 push-ups. The key isn't intensity, it's consistency. Tiny wins build confidence, and confidence fuels bigger steps. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls this the 2-minute rule. If a habit feels too big, shrink it until it's effortless. Once started, momentum often carries you further. Next, master the art of showing up. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is deliberate. Writers don't wait for inspiration. They write daily, even poorly. Athletes don't train only when they feel like it. They follow the schedule. The act of showing up, regardless of mood, trains the brain to default to action, not excuses. Critically measure progress, not perfection. If you expect linear success, you'll quit at the first setback. Instead, track small victories. Did you read 10 pages today? Good. Did you resist a distraction? Win. Over time, these micro wins accumulate into irreversible change. The Japanese concept of Kaizen continuous improvement embodies this. Great companies, elite athletes, and legendary artists all share one trait. They focus on getting slightly better every day. Not dramatic leaps, but relentless forward motion. The mind is like clay. It hardens with time. Small, daily pressures shape it. Wait too long, and change becomes painful. But apply steady, gentle force, and you can mold it into anything. You don't need a revolution. You need repetition. Want to write a book? Write a page today. Want to get fit? Move for 10 minutes. Want to master your mind? Start by observing one thought. The rest will follow.